Hi, and welcome to Family on Purpose. We're your hosts, Derek and Gina England. Excited to have you back as we continue to talk about and unpack family goal setting, how important it is for you and your family, how important it has been for us, and walking through each step of that process, what it means, how we plan, pre-plan, walk through the process. And now as we wrap up this series about family goal setting, we're talking about how we prioritize and protect what matters most to your family. Joining us is Ashton Faulkner. She's the creative director here at Family ID. Been on board just over a year. We have over 3 episodes. I think finally convinced her to set goals as a family and to put it down on paper, live it out. And I think we've overcome every objection as much as possible so that we can do this and do it on purpose. We hope that it overcomes any objections that you have as well so that you can do family on purpose. Be a family on purpose and do family on purpose. Ashton, last segment, prioritizing and protecting what matters most. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. This has been such a fun conversation. What God has already done through it. I'm just really excited to kind of process all of this with Jordan and really make a plan, a really good, solid plan that is very reasonable, but faith-filled as we head into the next year. Like, I'm excited for our family to do that. Before we wrap up this whole thing, there's 2 things that are really, that I want to make sure I walk away with, hearing you guys talk about. And the first thing is what you had just mentioned, prioritizing and protecting what our family values most, but also, when you go into like the new year, now that we've established where God, the direction God wants us to go in, how do we protect that journey and moving in that direction and not kind of end up wavering and doing like a zigzag everywhere. And then the second thing, I'll repeat this in a bit, but how do we celebrate well? Because I think that's, especially with kids, I think that's a really big thing. I'm bad at celebrating. I can have a win. Derek makes me give a win every week, and I struggle every week. I'm kind of kidding. But I think it's just so natural to just keep moving down the list and like, okay, like let's just keep moving forward. And I do know that God encourages us all throughout his word to celebrate and to remember. And so I definitely want to hear your perspective on that. So anyway, how do I protect the journey that we're on, the direction we're moving into, as we like set these goals and work toward achieving them?
You want to dive in? You want me to? Okay. Good question. And I think as you're asking, how do we prioritize and protect these goals and plans? I think it's important to note they're yours, right? They're nobody else's.
Yeah.
You can't take on goals from other families. It is take on goals that are right for your family.
Yeah.
And I believe that we protect and prioritize them the same way we do anything else in our lives. Our lives are separated. We talked about it in one of those episodes, in the must, the should, and the could. And we make sure that all the musts we get done.
Yeah. That's
just the way it is. Hey, I must pick up the kids from practice. So I'm there. Hey, I must eat today because I'm kind of hungry. I'm going to eat. And so I believe once we create a plan for the family and we're looking forward into the upcoming year, whatever that plan looks like, whether it's a couple focus areas, whether you are a fully type A family that has the chart and the week by week and the whiteboard on the wall and all of the stuff, right? It's recognizing what in that plan is a must, what's a should, and what's a could. Hey, there are dreams, and it's important to dream.
Yeah.
But let's move the musts into the must category and look at them frequently. We joked in the last episode about Nolan, your 9-year-old, making the commitment that he doesn't want to eat sugar, and he totally forgot about it 2 hours later and was in the pantry or the fridge.
Yeah.
I think that happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's easy for me to lose steam on setting a bunch of goals and then forgetting that I even set them.
Because you've got habits in place already.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so I have to overcome existing habits, change existing rhythms to make a change. So the way that I believe, and then I want to hear your voice on this, babe, is it's got to be at the forefront. We've got to talk about it, think about it, look at it, walk past it in a way that doesn't become overlooked. I know we've put sticky notes by the door or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
After a couple days, they disappear. Like, I mean it, right? If you tape something to the wall and walk past it for a week, after a week, it's like it doesn't exist.
Yep. The lullaby effect.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it has to be constantly changed, talked about, or revisited, slightly different. We use the Family ID Prayer and Goal Journal. It lives on our table. Somebody brings it up at dinner time. And hey, if you're having a conversation, you're not going to forget it. I mean, I forget conversations, but I mean, you won't ignore a conversation.
Right. And if it's on the dinner table, you're all sitting around it.
Somebody's going to pick it up.
Someone's going to be like, oh, we need to do this.
Well, and that's what I like about the Family ID Prayer and Goal Journal is in there, it designates a family team captain for the week.
Oh, okay. Yes. Talk about this. It's so cool.
So we could put, I think it defaults to 4 weeks. And so, hey, we have 4 people in our family. And so we can easily say, okay, dad's this week, mom's this week, Jack's this week, Sawyer's this week. And if I'm in charge of week 1, then if it's going to get brought up, it's because I'm the one who's responsible for picking it up, opening it up, and asking the questions. Hey, guys, any prayer requests for this week or anything that God has answered for us this week?
So good.
And then when it's Sawyer's week, it's her responsibility to pick it up, open it up, look at it, and ask her, answer the questions.
Yeah. I love that, especially for kids.
Yep.
Like I know that even for my 2 kids, like that is going to make them feel so included, but also like they're like, it's teaching them ownership.
Right.
And
That's right. That's right.
Especially with something like that. I'm so excited to sit down and really, we've already started kind of mapping out what that will look like for the year, but they're just all about right now, like writing out our values and what does that mean and living them out. It's really cool, but it's all come about, in having these, me and Jordan having these conversations.
That's right.
About setting goals.
That's right.
So,
babe, what about you? Prioritizing and protecting.
I know you've got,
because she does a better job than me, right? Of not burning out, not losing steam, consistent. Gina's like black or white. When she makes her mind up, that's the way it is.
That's how Jordan is. I'm not. So, oh my gosh.
God, did you really say I should go on that not eat sugar diet? I don't remember that.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of different about it now.
I'm his accountability partner.
Yeah.
Don't tell me unless you want me to keep you accountable.
I know.
He does his sugar rotation several times throughout the year. It's like tough. Okay, so how do I protect and guard what matters most? Derek has a good point on having the prayer and journal guide out here. One thing that I like about it is that it has your family's core values in it. And so then you'll have like this month's core value focus. And so we will seek God on that. Okay, what do we feel like the Lord's leading us here on? And one of our family's core values is being radically protective of our quality time. And so our decisions will kind of be made out with those guardrails within those parameters. And so we had an event this fall where we came to that crossroad of our daughter was in a fall sport, and then our son had the opportunity with his spring sport to go on and have fall tournaments and whatnot. And that would have been a great opportunity for our son. He loves these kids. We love the kids that he gets to play with. We love the organization. But we made the conscious decision, hey, if we are a family that is radically protective of our quality time, then we're going to have to say no here, because this is going to get mom here with one child, dad here with the other child. It's just not going to work. And while there was some initial, disappointment, and even dad and I were like, hey, bud, we're sorry you can't do this. We want this for you.
Like, it sucks.
But
no
we
one
knew
wants to do that.
it wasn't
But yeah.
God's best for us.
Right.
And within, same day, our son, he also acknowledges, okay, yeah, that's not God's best. That is not us sticking to a core value of being radically protective of our quality time.
And you guys did your core values, same process. You guys prayed about them. They were absolutely like created out of faith and like what you believed God was calling your family to.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Yeah. No, it was not like, hey, what do we already exhibit in the family? No, this was 12 years ago when Gina and I went through the Family ID workshop.
Yeah.
We laid out core values, and I would say they evolved a little over time. But I mean, we've been pretty steadfast on them for 10 years now.
Yeah. So cool.
And then we went back through the Family ID workshop 5 years ago and reestablished, like, okay, let's start with a clean slate. Now, the first time we went through it, our kids were 2 and 3. Now we did it years later. Our kids were 9 and 10, 10 or 11. And let's start with a clean slate. Are our core values the same? Are they what we want them to be?
Yeah.
And they were almost spot on.
That's cool.
To what we originally created,
so cool.
Which means, hey, that's what our kids see and that's what they want.
Well, what's cool about that is you guys set the example early on when they were too little to even help you decide. And then years later, you're already seeing the fruit of it because that's now what they value.
For sure.
Quality time, et cetera, et cetera. That's amazing.
And to Gina's point is when there's a book about this. It's not my quote. I say it often though. Hey, when you know who you are, you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
And so, hey, if there is alignment and agreement on the core values, then everybody's on the team to protect them.
Yeah.
Everybody's on the team to prioritize those core values. And Jack's baseball is one example. We talked earlier about, Gina and I talked earlier off mic about, hey, when we go into a family planning day and we're thinking about, oh, there's a school year coming up next year. Okay. What curriculum do we want to use? What activities do we want to do? We homeschool the kids. So do we want to do a co-op, not do a co-op?
Yeah.
Like all of that. And we zoom out and say, okay, based on our core values, how are these decisions going to play into support or deteriorate our core values?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much intentionality in that. And ultimately, again, it comes back to that's how you honor God.
That's right.
Talk about, how do you recognize when something is, the schedule's overcrowded and something has to go? So it's not necessarily just one game or a one-time thing where we had to just make a tough decision this one time. It's like, no, the rest of the season is going to look like this, and that's not okay with us.
For me, some indicators if our schedule is too overcrowded. Okay, if I'm not flourishing in my relationship with the Lord, if I am rushing him, like, okay, sorry, Lord, I got to leave this quiet time this morning because I got to get on to my next. Yeah. Okay, that's a red light for me. That's a red flag. Or if I'm not flourishing in my relationship with Derek and have time to pour into him or to pour into Sawyer or pour into Jack, and even my family and friends. I went through a season this fall that was, in my opinion, overcrowded. And I had a couple of friends that were sick, and I literally did not have the margin to check on them during a particular week. And I just thought, this is such an indicator of an overcrowded schedule. If I can't even be the friend that I desire to be, that these friends of mine deserve to have, like, this is a telling sign of an overcrowded schedule. And so look at the schedule. Okay, what on earth can be modified here? Because there's got to be non-negotiables. Like, my relationship with the Lord cannot suffer because of an overcrowded schedule. My relationship with my husband or my kids cannot suffer because of that. And so
when you can't live rushed all the time, like, that's a terrible way. That sucks. Yeah.
Right. It's not just flourishing or thriving. I think you're in that survival mode. Like, okay, I'm surviving through this. And, so looking at, okay, where can I create margin? And having to find those pockets of time to say no to some things so that I was able to say yes for time with the Lord or refreshment, time with you and the kids. But it definitely, I think we need to look inwardly and take a pulse and go, okay, how are things going? And take that pause to see.
Which takes self-awareness.
And it also takes comfortability with self. So we're talking
Say
about
more about that.
we're talking about schedule,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
For your example, quality time might not be a core value of every family. Gina and I have talked about this much. She's like, how can quality time not be a core value of families? I don't get that. That doesn't compute for her.
Right.
Like it really
Well,
just
how
really
can you be a
doesn't.
family? Yeah.
Right. But there are some families where quality time
Yeah.
is not the priority.
Or they think we live together and that's,
Sufficient.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Like in some level, I think it's okay.
Meaning, no judgment. I want to make that real
exactly
clear.
right.
We're all in different seasons and we're all trying to figure this thing out.
Right. So I think, and each family will have a different culture.
Yeah.
But I think even though that's not, quality time might not be a core value for every family, there is always a draw towards culture. There's a draw towards what your neighbors are doing, what your friends are doing, what your peer group's doing, what other people you see on social media are doing. We are all being drawn towards culture in some way. The advertising and marketing industry spends billions of dollars to draw our hearts and our minds towards culture. But when we feel or we look at our gauge, and I think that's what you were describing is in your quality time gauge, like the gauges on your dashboard on your car, it was running hot. Like, hey, I don't have time for my friends. I don't have time for the Lord. I don't have time for Derek. I'm running hot. So I've got to make a change. Yeah, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we can take that theory of, okay, what is running hot for you? Is it your schedule? Is it your finances? Is it your relationships? Is it your body? Are you physically like just, I'm either exhausted or I don't look the way I wanted to look, or I'm not feeling the way I want to feel, or whatever it is, like what's running hot? And then we have to make a change. And when we make a change, we have to be comfortable with self.
Yeah.
Meaning, no. This is who I am, or this is who I want to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to choose not culture, not what culture says, culture does, what advertising says, what everybody else does. Like, I'm going to choose me, or I'm going to choose our family because I'm comfortable and confident in who we are.
Yeah.
Which all comes back to identity, relationship with the Lord, and understanding who he created us to be.
Setting goals doesn't matter if we don't have that.
That's exactly right.
This is irrelevant to you if you don't, if you're not even viewing your family as having a purpose.
That's right.
Like, if it's just something that you got married and then you had kids, even if that was all by accident, you just woke up and it's like, how did I get here? I'm married with all these children. It's like, there is still purpose in that.
That's right.
And I think that's where, like, can we just sit there for a second and talk about that?
Yep.
How? Where do we start? And
well, I mean, that is the heartbeat of Family ID.
Yeah.
Family ID is family intentional direction. And the purpose of that ministry is to help you figure out and discover who God created you to be. You as an individual and you as a family, because collectively your family has purpose. We talked about, I broke everybody's dreams saying that Jeremiah 29:11 is not for you. It's not for me. It's not for us. That was written specifically from the prophet Jeremiah to the people, the Israelites who were exiled to Babylon. But what it does demonstrate is that God is a God of plan and purpose, and that we are all called according to his purpose. And so, hey, your family has a purpose. You might not know what that is, or it might not be intentionally written down or talked about, but there is a purpose. And we can all begin with the conversation. And I encourage people. We ran into a guy a couple weeks ago on the beach. He came up, we started talking, and somehow family came up. He said, man, it was so hard raising my daughter outside the home because they were drawn towards sports.
Oh, yeah.
His daughter was an elite athlete. And he said, I'll never again raise my kid outside the family, outside the home, raise my kid outside the home. And I asked him, okay, so I won't use his real name. I'll just say, hey, what's the Douglas family about?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know. I guess we're about, I don't know.
You ask that question all the time and I freaking love it. I love it because people are totally dumbfounded when you ask them. Like they have no idea how to even answer it. And I'm telling you, if you have a family, that is one of the most important like answers you could ever have is to be able to answer that. Like,
and what
I remember being like, I don't know. Like I've never been asked that before, but it's like, it's so real because that's the purpose.
That's the purpose.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's understand what our identity is, what our purpose is. And just, if you're about generosity, you talked about, hey, taking the family ID assessment, you're a generous family. Hey, if it's about generosity, be about generosity.
Right. Right.
Like have a purpose about going to be generous to other people on purpose. And so I encouraged this man. I said, okay, what's the Douglas family about? Deer in the headlights, no idea. And I said, okay, your challenge tonight is to go home and at the dinner table, just ask that question. Hey guys, what are we about as a family?
Yeah.
And see what comes. Just have a relaxed, easy conversation about it. And that's the best way to start.
Yeah. And you would be so shocked like, especially if you have multiple kids, everyone has a different perspective, but what's crazy is they're all connected somehow. Like everyone's perspective, somehow all of it is kind of intertwined or relative to the other. And then there's this central theme that you're trying to like uncover. It's a whole journey. It is a whole journey and it's so fun. I'm so glad you talked about that.
But to your point, if we don't know that, then goals are just arbitrary goals towards some destination that you want to get better. And we talked about last time, better is it's not a spot on the map. It's not a target on the wall. You can't hit better. First, we got to figure out where we're going.
Yeah.
And it goes back to just like family vacation. You know where you're going, how you're going to get there, when you're going, how much it's going to cost, what you're going to do when you're there. And if you can outline some of those pieces as a family, now we can set goals towards that.
Yeah.
And to your very first point today, if we know where we're going and we call it a priority, then everybody in the family can protect that priority to say, hey, we all agreed we wanted to end up there.
Yeah. You can't be mad.
That's exactly right. Hey, you agreed, you said, so let's work towards that.
No sugar for the whole year. I'm just kidding.
I do not agree.
I won't either, ever. Let's talk about celebrating.
We love to celebrate. We'll celebrate anything small, anything big. I think every day there can be some type of giving of thanks for God's goodness in that day. Like Psalm 9:1 says, I will give thanks to the Lord with all of my heart. I will recount all of his wonderful deeds.
That's good.
Let's celebrate. Even in a simple conversation at the dinner table that happens most every night at our home is, okay, what was the best part of your day? And celebrating, okay, here's what God did. We had a good time at our sport. We had a good day at school, whatever the win is. Dad got to play basketball.
Right.
I got to hang out with a friend. Whatever those, we've got to be at home together. Whatever those wins are, celebrating them. Obviously, parties can be involved if there's something big. A couple things that I think keep celebration on the forefront of our minds is our family ID, prayer and goal journal, because we're able to write in answered prayers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so just reflecting on that throughout the year, like, oh yeah, God came through on this and he answered them. And like we talked about big, bold prayers, the things that we pray about. Some of those have rolled over year after year after year that are still unanswered prayers. And that's okay. Like we're still seeking God on those. One thing that we did last year, just for the month of November, we had a gratitude journal challenge. And hey, if you could do it for 30 days, the month of November, okay, we'll get a reward in here. And it was,
I think it was ice cream.
Was it ice cream? Okay.
Ice cream is a big celebratory.
Sign me up.
So it was a cheapy $1 or $2 notebook that I got for each of us in the family. And then we markered them up and, thank you, God, or whatever it was that we wanted to write on the front of them. But then each day being able to say, thank you, God, for this. And it was such a fun month because you take for granted all the good things that God does. And so
The
I wish that
ways
was
are countless.
Yes, I
if
wish it
you
was-
actually think about like the small, oh my gosh, it's almost like every hour.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
crazy.
I wish that gratitude journal, that thankful journal that we had was just a rhythm of our
Mm-hmm.
year, because even when we went into New Year's Eve praise party, like I had mentioned,
Mhm.
just being able
Oh,
to
we're
get
gonna
out
talk
our,
about that in a minute.
being able to get out our notebooks and like flip through, and you just forget because the time of the year flies by. Half the time it takes me getting out my cell phone and like scrolling up pictures. Oh yeah, we got to do this. Oh yeah, we saw so and so, and yes, the praise party is one of my favorite days of the year. It's our annual New Year's Eve party here at our home, getting our favorite food or snacks, and it does take going through the pictures on the phone, going through the gratitude journal, going through our prayer and goal journal of family IDs, and just getting to celebrate the goodness of God. And he's so worth having a party for. And obviously he needs it more than just on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
But
What a great idea, though. Is it just you guys, or do you invite
It's
your
just
whole
us.
family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just us.
I love that.
Yeah.
But usually we make a big deal out of it. Like if you are the reader of what God has done, like you're standing on the hearth of the fireplace with all attention on you. You're basically in the spotlight. And
It's a big deal.
That is so awesome. I've never heard of a family doing that.
We need to have a praise party this
putting
year.
in my pocket
Come
right
on.
now. Yes, like, and I think too, because like New Year's Eve, that was something I looked forward to for many years, was watching the New Year's Eve ball drop in Times Square, and now it's something I won't even turn on because it's become so much about the culture of the world, and hearing you talk about this praise party, I'm just like, that's incredible. Like, I don't have to turn on the TV. And now we're literally pivoting everything about what the new year represents to God.
What
like
God has done in
praising
the
God.
existing year,
Yes.
right?
Like again, it's like, yes, it's like simple, but you guys need to write a book about all the things you do every day. You should hear the stories that I hear. And I'm just like, this
And
is
watch
incredible.
the videos in between takes.
Oh
right?
my gosh,
And I would
these people
say-
karaoke.
Right, we do. We have a trophy to validate that. I would say if you are a person that gets a hold of this podcast after New Year's Eve, like whatever month it is, have a praise party
Good.
Yep.
that month. Like let your family know, rally up. We're going to celebrate what God has done. We're going to do Psalms 9:1, and we're going to recount his wonderful deeds.
Yeah.
Good. It's a good
Oh,
word. And I think
love
you're
that.
right, babe. I think when we show gratitude or thankfulness to the Lord, that our hearts and our spirits can't be unpleased, disruptive.
Yeah.
Like those are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And so when gratitude and thankfulness are on our lips and on our minds, hey, we can't be ungrateful or stressed at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
So good.
And you talk about celebrating in our home. It probably is a lot of ice cream
I'm
led
here
by
for that.
me. But there was something 5, 6, 7 years ago that we worked for many years. Jack was working on something very specific, and we set out a celebratory record. Hey, if you can do it for one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year,
Yeah.
or what, I don't remember what all the milestones were. Hey, then we will go celebrate really big, really, because it was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
like it would have taken him more than a year to accomplish.
yeah,
Or
like
it
we've
was
been
like
working on
4
it for a couple years.
Okay. Okay.
And then we set out this goal
Yeah.
and said, hey, here's a big celebration. If we can get through this and to this, hey, we'll make it really, really big.
Yeah.
And he did. I mean, and he killed it. And we
So
went,
cool.
he went and bought a sword. Like he got a sword for it. We went and picked it out, but that's all
Total
it took.
boy. It's amazing.
Oh yeah. It was,
And with the knife throwing.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, hey, let's set some milestones. Let's set some celebrations along the way.
Yeah.
And let's encourage, because I believe in you and I believe that you can do this.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate you when you do.
Yeah. You've talked a lot about, especially with me, like being proactive. Don't wait. Don't wait to give the encouragement. Don't wait to say the thing. And I think that has a lot to do with what we're talking about. Like, even if it's small and they're only halfway there.
Yep.
My gosh, what a difference. I mean, I think about if my dad and he does. He calls me sometimes at like 8 a.m. and it's like the first time I'm speaking that morning. And he's like, "Ma, are you just waking up?" But it's like when he encourages me, I haven't even achieved the thing yet, right? But just that encouragement makes all the difference. It's no different than when we hear from God. It's like, I don't know, talk about that. Because I know you guys are really good parents in that way. You're very proactive in the way that you love them and encourage them. It's all the time. I hear it all the time.
Gina has been training me for 21 years.
I was going to say, how's he going to answer this? Because
this is a test and hopefully I passed.
You did with flying colors, honey. Yeah. Yeah.
She's been training me for 21 years to, hey, speak words of encouragement, speak words of life, to give compliments. And because truthfully, a compliment, what does it cost us? Nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of pride.
Maybe.
If we're trying to make sure that we look good instead of somebody else.
Right.
But inside a family, we shouldn't have pride.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We shouldn't. I'm not saying there isn't, but we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to encourage those people that, for me, are my best friends in the whole world, then why wouldn't I say that?
Right.
Like, let's build them up. Jack and Sawyer both play sports, and I tell them all the time, hey, look, confidence is 80% of it. And the best way that I can give them confidence is to speak words of life in the home and not empty or hollow words.
Right. Yeah. Genuine, sincere.
Genuine and sincere. And the greatest aspect of that whole thing is because.
Yeah.
Hey, I believe in you because I see this. I'm proud of you because you did this. You are so lovely because of this.
Yeah. So
and
good.
Speaking those words.
Man.
You trained me well.
Yeah. Talk about that for 2 seconds. Did you not do that at first?
That's not natural.
Like, okay.
Was not natural.
I would never have known that. Because even as my leader, I mean, you're very good at you're just very good at like pointing out the things that I'm doing right. Like even when I struggle to, like when you make me like say wins, I'm like, like sometimes you'll give your win and it's me winning. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And so that's so interesting that, the joke of like you taught him had been training you for 21 years. That's funny.
Well, and when we say training him, it's in this specific area because compliments was
not natural.
Not natural.
To like express them out loud.
That's right.
Like it's not like you didn't think that or feel those things.
I just, hey, if she looks nice in the morning, I should say, man, you look so pretty.
Yeah, you better say.
Yeah.
Like, why would I not say it? Instead of just keeping it in my head and walking down the road. Oh, she looked really pretty today. I think she does that well. Gina's dad does that really well. He's very relational and encouraging and will tell Gina or me or both of us, wow, you guys are good parents. Or,
that's cool.
Hey, you're doing a good job. Or, good job, Gina Bear. I'm proud of you. And it's just that sentence that is enough.
Yeah.
It's just enough to get through the day or to get through this challenge. And I think it goes back to identity because as your maiden name, right? Your dad would say, hey, we're tough. We're this family. We can get through this and we can go through.
Okay. So for Derek saying like, hey, compliments are unnatural. Any of this that we've discussed on this series could feel unnatural. Hey,
probably all of it will.
Yeah. Setting a goal is unnatural. Talking about finances, talking about those things that are just, they can be unnatural, but it's nothing that God cannot give you the grace to do. Like he supplies that grace for that moment to get through there. So you can call on him. I don't have what this takes, but I know that you do. Will you help me? Will you give me your power, your strength in this moment? So the things that don't come natural, don't make the agreement that this is who you are and this is how it will always be. Because I've seen him, like, you encourage our kids and lavish upon them sincere, authentic, genuine, life-giving words every day of their lives. Like if I were our kids, my confidence would soar through the roof. And so you hadn't always been that way. And thankfully we'd been married long enough before the kids came along that's all they know when their daddy
Mhm.
is a complimentary dad.
Yeah.
Or complimenting dad, I guess is the word. But anyway, so don't make agreements that, hey, this is tough. I can't.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm not gonna.
Right.
Yeah.
And
You
that
can't
brings
prove-
up a really good point, babe. A guy that coached me made the statement. He said, it's not a capacity issue.
Mhm.
It's a conditioning issue.
Right. That's so
Oh
good.
man.
So
That's good.
if this
I
is
needed to hear that.
unnatural for you,
Mm-hmm.
it's not because you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you haven't trained to do it
Mhm.
and you haven't worked at it.
Yeah.
It's just like if you really wanted to run that marathon,
I don't at all.
it's not a capacity issue. It's a fact of, hey, if you trained long enough and hard enough, you could do it.
Yeah.
And so it goes the same thing for a family. It's not that you can't have tough conversations. It's not that you can't be complimentary. It's not that you can't be encouraging or be gracious or celebratory, or you can't make plans and follow through.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's not whether you can or can't.
Right.
It's a conditioning issue
Yeah.
on
That's
taking
so
steps. Better is better. Progress is progress.
Mm-hmm.
Moving. Let's be more intentional today
Mm-hmm.
than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's focus on these areas more today than we did yesterday, and we will condition ourselves to get better.
I want to talk about that real quick. Better is better. That's something that you said to me last year, and I've I've kept it in my pocket since. Jordan was really sick. I was really tired. Like I just, my perspective on just my outlook for that week just wasn't great. Like, and I could tell whenever you and I were talking, you were asking how Jordan was doing, asking how I was doing, and I said, well, I said he's getting better, and then I think I tried to say like 10 other things that were going wrong. And you said, it was just funny. There was like a pause, and then you were like, well, better is better. And I remember like, I know where I was driving. I know where I was at. Like, I just remember it like it was yesterday, because in that moment, I was so like, I think I felt empowered to see it differently, like to totally see the situation differently. And Jordan's getting better, and I need to celebrate that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there is this long list of other things
That's right.
that we're working through, it's like he's getting better, and that's enough to celebrate.
It's good.
He doesn't have a fever today. That's
right.
enough to
That's right.
celebrate. Like, and I just can only imagine that there are going to be a lot of times when I can't see that better is better. I actually feel discouraged because maybe all the conversations do feel awkward or clunky. Or maybe Jordan and I don't see eye to eye on something just yet, and we're struggling to have patience to wait on the Lord, whatever it is. I guess, what would you say to somebody that does feel discouraged and can't see that better is better?
I would encourage them that there is no arrival. When it comes to marriage, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to faith, when it comes to work, many times there is no arrival. There's just always more. And so when we set our expectations that at one day we'll arrive, or if I only make this much money, or if we only do then I'll be happy, we will miss that expectation, and there will be frustration and disappointment. So the truth is there is no arrival. So we have to move at a pace that we are proud of for the long term.
Yeah.
Like, let's be okay living in a little bit of discomfort, because discomfort, all we need is just enough air to breathe, just enough to get through that day to make it towards the goal and the vision. Hey, if we go back to the family vacation, hey, this is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do when we get there. This is how long it's going to take. This is how much it's going to cost. Hey, let's set some expectations, and then let's move towards it day by day by day. And that could be not a 1 month goal, 6 month goal, 1 year goal. That could be a 10-year goal.
Yeah.
And let's move at a pace that we're proud of over the long term.
Yeah. Oh, it's like such wisdom. And that's hard, especially when we live in a world where like instant gratification is like, it's just always there. We can just, scroll on social media or binge read a book and we can read it all in one day when it should be read over a month or whatever. Enjoy it. That's so good. Thank you.
But I think to your point, I don't want to negatively motivate people.
Yeah.
But at the same point, if we are not constantly moving forward, progressing and developing and working in a direction that the Lord's calling us,
yeah,
I can only imagine 10 years from now, looking back and saying, I wasted all that time and I didn't do it. I wish I would have. And if you are in that position right now, there's a quote. I tried to look it up to see who it's from. I don't know who it, like one person says Benjamin Franklin, one person says it's a Chinese proverb. So whoever said it, it wasn't me. But the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today.
Yeah.
And so even if there was disappointment, missed expectations, or I wish I would have, hey, it's not too late. It's not too late to say, okay, I'm going to evaluate, I'm going to inspect, I'm going to seek the Lord, I'm going to prepare, I'm going to plan, and I'm going to move forward in a direction that I believe He's calling us towards on a daily basis.
So good. Start where you are.
Start where you are.
Really
yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Gina?
Piggybacking on your quote, makes me think of the quote from Elizabeth Elliot that's like, just do the next right thing. Just do the next right thing.
Yep.
So I think the point is not wallowing in the pit, but just doing the next right thing.
Yep.
Getting out of the pit and making that forward progress. I want to encourage you that no matter when you get to watch these videos, whatever time of the year, your family planning does not have to be implemented on January 1st. You can do this on March 31st or in August or November, whenever that is. The point of this is just prayerfully seeking the Lord's will and His good purpose for you and your family.
Yep.
So do it today, whenever it is. Meet with the Lord, seek His face, and live in a way that your family will flourish and thrive through the work that you do, seeking the Lord on your goals for your family.
Thanks for joining us for Family on Purpose. We've been talking family goal setting. This is the end of our series on this, but we can't wait to talk to you about more topics, more ideas, more concepts. So join us. We want you to be a family that lives on purpose, with purpose. So whatever you do, do it on purpose.